Hi everyone, it's Lynnea for LDRS Creative, and I know that at the time of filming and posting this video, it is only early November, but that gives me less than 2 months to get Christmas cards done. So it's time for me to get a move on those cards. So I wanted to show you two cards with the Snow Days puzzle scene stamps, and I'll be using the base stamp set here too, the puzzle frame stamps. I'm going to show you two different cards. So you can kind of pick your design based on how much time you have to create. One is going to be stamping with just colored inks, and the other one I'll stamp with black and colored in with my Copic markers. So to get started here, all of the puzzle scene stamps from LDRS Creative can be stamped inside of that large grid on the puzzle frames stamps, or you can kind of build your own scenes. And so today I'm going to build my own, and I'm just going to have 3 vertical rectangles on each card. So I need a total of 6 of these rectangle outlines. So I went ahead and stamped them, and I configured it so that I could fit all 6 on one A2 sized piece of white cardstock. But this would be great for using up scraps of white cardstock if you just want to stamp one rectangle on little pieces of paper. Now that I have my outlines done, I'm going to go to those Snow Days puzzle scenes, and I'll start with the cardinal. I really love cardinals, not just for Christmas, but for all of winter. I think that they're kind of that iconic symbol of snow days and whatnot. So I started with the cardinal, and I grabbed a red ink from LDRS Creative. I stamped with Kiss Me Red, and just stamped that a couple times. And then I just turned my cardstock, and I'm going to stamp in black ink. So my first card is going to use the cardinal with the red ink, and then I'll color in the cardinal with a black outline with my Copic markers. I'm going to do the same thing for 2 more of these Snow Days puzzle scenes. I grabbed snowman. I just love snowmen. They're one of my favorite symbols for wintertime and for Christmas too. I just really love snowmen. And I'm going to stamp this with Marina Madness ink. Now my ink pad is getting a little dry. It's one of my most used ink pads, so I do need to re-ink this. So I just stamped a couple times. Once I had stamped it in the blue, I went ahead and stamped it in my black ink. And then I will move on to the last little kind of mini scene here. And I'm going to use the mailbox. And I really liked these 3 scenes that I used because I think they are great for Christmas or for winter. So if you want to change up your sentiment and just have this be a winter card, you definitely could. This one I stamped in olive branch, so I have that kind of traditional Christmas color scheme of red and green with just a little bit of blue mixed in. So here's where, if you're just going with the stamping, the colored images, all you have to do is cut these out and you're pretty much done. But I'm going to color these in and then just kind of do this step by step. So I'm going to grab my Copic markers, and I will color the cardinal on camera here. I'm going to start with some red Copic markers, and I color very simply, very easily. I like to start with my darkest one, add some shadows, and then I will blend out from there. So my darkest is R29, and then I'm going to move into R27 for my midtone, and then I will bring in R24 for my lightest and just kind of blend out and color over all of the red areas of the cardinal. I think I do the branch next, and for that I used E37 and E35, again just adding some darker areas on the edges and then coloring that in with my lighter. These other areas are pretty small, so even for the beak I'm only using one color of orange. And then for the darker, the kind of eye part on the bird, I'm going C5, C7, C5, and C3. And then I'll just bring in a little white dot for the eyeball. I went ahead and colored in the other 2 elements, and now all I have to do is just fussy cut these rectangles out. And I'm using a pair of long scissors. Usually when I'm fussy cutting, I like to use smaller scissors, but since these are just long, straight edges, I went for my long bladed scissors. That way I can just easily cut them without having to kind of work too hard to do so. And this is just really easy to cut this out. That's why I chose the rectangle, because I wanted you to be able to, if you needed a card in minutes, just stamp these icons in colored inks and then really quickly cut out these rectangles. Now also, if you wanted to, you could stamp them directly onto a panel, but I liked having that extra dimension of being able to cut out the rectangles. So now I've gone ahead and I have 2 red card bases. I used my postage rectangle dies to cut a gold layer as well as a white layer, and these are just going to stack right on top of that red. And then I'm going to put my Snow Days puzzle scenes so they're kind of centered And I have the From Me to You sentiments, and these have both winter and Christmas sentiments. I chose a Christmas one. I stamped it right at the bottom, and then I just used foam tape to adhere those rectangle puzzle scenes, and then I will add foam tape behind the other die cut elements and stack them up onto my red card base, and that's it. So this card that's on the left with the colored stamping, you really could pull this together as a 5 to 10 minute card. Easy peasy. You could mass produce this and have a whole bunch for the holidays. But if you wanted to kind of step it up a little bit, you can bring in some Copic coloring and you'll have two cards that are pretty much the same with just some subtle differences. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!